Welcome, corpulent railroad magnates, to Geek Salad's Retro Movie Reviews from the Geek Salad Podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And we are wrapping up the four summer blockbuster failures. We put this out to Twitter about a month ago, asking you what order should we do these in, and this is our number four. And even I gave you a second chance for us to do a different one. I threw Interspace in there.
Yeah, one we both like.
Right. And this still came back. So, as you are well aware from seeing the banner, we are talking about 2013's The Lone Ranger. Okay. This is obviously the first time you've seen this, right?
Yeah, and for me, it's actually easily the worst movie we've covered.
Okay.
You know what? I'm even putting a Caddyshack 2 above it. Yes, Kurt.
Wow.
I put in Caddyshack 2 above this one because Caddyshack 2 was a bad movie. It was an awful movie, but there's some goofy fun watching it. I had no fun watching this movie. Okay. I actively disliked every bit of this movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually watched this once before. Damn. All right. I'd watched this movie once before when I was doing that other podcast, the Who's Responsible for This podcast.
Right.
And Steve and I talked about this movie. And it was the first time I'd seen it. And then I went back last week and I watched it again. I don't dislike this movie. You can tell every step of the way what went wrong with this movie. That is not in question. This isn't the kind of movie where, and this is something that kind of drives me nuts when you talk about box office failures. It's like when you mention its box office success, automatically people come back at you with like, I really like that movie. It's like, yes, I understand. In the last four movies, this is kind of there with John Carter for me, but you talk about Last Action Hero, talk about Hudson Hawk. It's like, okay, I had fun with it, but you have to acknowledge the movie was a box office, a financial failure. Yeah. This one, I don't think is the biggest failure out of the bunch, but it certainly feels like it.
Budget of 225 to 250 million, which I have no idea where that went to because there's nothing in here that looks like it's 200 million. But box office of 260. So
okay, that's global, right?
That's global.
Okay, yeah. So that's the production budget. Then add all the extra stuff in there. There was a lot of marketing for this movie because it is a Disney movie.
Yeah.
I mean, their fast food tie-in, I believe, was Subway, which is usually the kiss of death.
Yeah.
Almost always is. It went to Johnny Depp. Well, here's where I can see that there is a genesis for something reasonably decent in here. Let's be honest. This movie wants to be Pirates of the Caribbean so badly, and I would not be one bit shocked if this is under Bob Iger, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Bob Iger took over in about 2006, 2007.
Right. So
2006.
Bob Iger or the powers that be on the Disney film area went to Gore Verbinski again and said, listen, we need you to do this again. We've already got Johnny Depp on board. We need him to be another Jack Sparrow character. And you need to make another Pirates of the Caribbean movie without making Pirates of the Caribbean. With that said, it is hard to make a good Lone Ranger movie.
Yeah, I mean, so like 2010 to 2013, there have been three like big box office westerns. Every single one of them failed miserably.
Right, and that's a big issue. You're talking about a movie property, or like just a property in general that made its bones on the radio, I believe.
Yeah.
And then moved to TV, and then there have been other attempts at this. I did, kind of as a little bonus, I watched The Legend of the Lone Ranger, which is absolute horseshit. This movie, you know, there are some very interesting set pieces in here. I think, quite honestly, there was some very good action in this movie. I think there was some fine action in this movie. The 1981 Legend of the Lone Ranger is awful. It is. Tonto barely plays into it until like halfway. Adult Tonto doesn't show up until like halfway through because they are blood brothers.
As opposed to this movie where Tonto is front and center.
You're getting
every point of the way.
You're paying Johnny Depp money. You're getting Johnny Depp.
Even when you don't want Johnny Depp, you're getting Johnny Depp.
Well, keep in mind too, this is around the time, like what came before this? It was Dark Shadows. Johnny Depp at this point was beginning the slide that everything he touched will not turn to gold. Yeah.
There is absolutely zero reason to have the flash forwards, except, hey, we got Johnny Depp. Let's give more Johnny Depp screen time. There's no reason for it.
I kind of like the framing device on it, only because, realistically speaking, it goes to show that the Lone Ranger became a thing of legend, and it also kind of makes fun of like those living history museums where, you know, you just think it's one thing, and they do. I have to admit, and again, I am not coming at this from a point of any authority at all. I have zero Native American blood in me, but I would be very interested in seeing if we had any listeners or viewers out there that were that had some Native American heritage in them. To see, I felt like this was at the very least respectful. They didn't treat. I don't believe that they treated the Cherokee like children at all in this, which is a huge problem when you're dealing with that, especially in westerns.
Except for me, Tonto, yeah, it's Johnny Depp who, but as opposed to like, oh, he says, I think my great grandmother had some Native American. No, he didn't have any. He has zero Native American.
Right.
And he played that role really more for laughs than anything.
Well, there's a lot of that, but that's the same thing. It's like bring me Jack Sparrow. Just keep him in the confines of the Lone Ranger. So giving Tonto a backstory to explain his mania was, at least they were trying, and it wasn't just, okay, well, Tonto's just like this. Unless it's Blazing Saddles and you have the Native American speaking Yiddish. Schwartz, hey, darker than we are.
Mel Brooks also is zero Native American.
Exactly. But I feel like there were things about this movie that could have worked. Armie Hammer is not one of them, because Armie Hammer is. All right. So first of all, apparently, I don't have the full details. Apparently, Armie Hammer is a garbage human being.
Well, he read in the script. He eats the guy's heart. Sounds tasty.
But he was the one who does that, though. That's Butch Cavendish.
Well, no. But he read that in the script, and it gave him the idea.
Yeah.
Apparently, he threatened to eat his wife. Probably an ex-wife now.
Yeah. But the thing is that the Lone Ranger, in and of himself, as a character, is dull. Because again, it's a white-hatted hero that just happens to wear a black mask. Mainly as an identity thing. Yeah. He's like the first superhero in that.
Yeah. He's supposed to be dead, so he just keeps that.
Right. But it's just that it's not fun. It was like he may have been involved in some like cannibalism. I feel like Armie Hammer is just there was literally one time I actually enjoyed anything he did, and quite on, it was in The Social Network, which is not a movie I like, but there is a line because he plays the Winklevoss twins. He's like, I'm 6'3", 200 pounds. I can kick his ass, and there's two of me. That was great, but yeah, he's not. He is not leading man material. It very much shows in this movie how he is second banana to Tonto, which, give this movie its due, it didn't push Tonto to the back because, again, it's Johnny Depp playing him.
Yeah.
And I this is one of those instances where whitewashing, it's Johnny Depp, versus like when they cast Joel Edgerton as Ramses in Gods and Men.
Yeah, I never watched that one either.
Oh, it's bad. Joel Edgerton looks like he's like an adult-sized baby in it.
Yeah, there was one interesting character in this entire movie, and they killed him off pretty quickly. It was his brother.
Oh, his brother, yeah.
Because
Badge Dale, that dude can never catch a break. They were gonna make him the next Jack Bauer for 24, and that didn't happen. Man, I'm glad Hollywood learned the lesson and never whitewashed any role since. Well, actually, yeah, Gods and Men, I think, came after this, and then that whole Emma Stone.
Oh yeah,
that debacle.
Yep.
Yeah, it's. I almost kind of feel like for some reason, and again, I zero authority, so please do not take this. I kind of feel like Johnny Depp gets a pass on this one. I do not feel like he's not doing all the things that we used to do in movies. Oh, smoking peace pipe, those kind of. He's not a Peter Pan Indian.
No.
Thank you.
But he is still.
He's still a white guy playing.
Let's feed this dead crow.
That's part of the Jack. That's part of the Jack Sparrow thing. That mania, that being out in the sun for too long. Again, they explain that in Pirates of the Caribbean with Jack. He was left on an island and essentially just got so sun mad.
Yeah, but it's just, so with Jack Sparrow, especially in that first movie, he was always at least 2 steps ahead of everybody else. And this one, he's just kind of along for the ride.
Yeah, well, he figured, once he realized that he can actually finally exact his revenge for his tribe. The villains in this movie are not so memorable. I will say I like what they did with Butch Cavendish, because Butch Cavendish is the Moriarty of this series. And he is a lot more interesting than Christopher Lloyd's Cavendish in the 1981 movie, which again is horseshit.
William Fichtner. Yeah. I can never remember how
he's one of those dudes that has shown up in probably more Michael Bay movies than we want to. That he was actually in the opening heist scene in The Dark Knight.
Yep.
And I do like the fact that he's a little more one with the land, including eating his brother's heart.
By the way, and they say, oh yeah, he killed and ate his brother's heart. Except when he stabbed him kind of like more in the stomach.
Well, you gotta reach in. There's a shit. This is all bone, Mike.
I know, but I was like,
it looked bone, so he's gotta reach up in there like a puppet.
It looked almost like he was eating the liver, not the, which I was a little bit more.
It was far more reality based than the Cult of Kali. He went right into the chest. That means that your entire rib cage is going to separate to do that. Sorry, it doesn't happen. But why did we go? Where did this come from?
Yeah, but Cole as the villain.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw him step up, he just gives those weird eyes to Rebecca. I'm like, okay, so he's the main villain, right? Yeah, okay, he's the main villain.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's dead obvious from the very first scene you see him in.
Almost every one of these movies has something to do with the train and the train magnates who are just trying to clear the land of all them engines. It's the action sequences in this movie, I will say, were fun. I could have done without. I understand that the William Tell Overture is a big part of the Lone Ranger, but it really felt like, it's like one of those things where you're watching on YouTube. Well, you don't because you have YouTube Red, but you're watching the commercials and because you can't skip over any of them, and all of a sudden the thing just kicks in, like that thing is the William Tell overture because it just shows up.
Yeah. As soon as I was like, oh, you know what, this is gonna get old real fast because they're probably gonna play through the whole scene, and they did.
They did,
and it got old real fast.
Right. But I did like a lot of the action sequences on the train were fun.
I mean, they may have been for me. Just the rest of the movie just dragged it down.
Honestly, Mike, I think by that point you checked out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first movie in a very, very long time that I had to stop it halfway through because I just couldn't take anymore.
Yeah,
right. I got to the scene where he like starts talking like, okay, me, Spirit Walker. And I'm like, oh, they're doing the thing where he thinks that they don't speak English and they speak perfect English, aren't they? Yeah, okay. Off. I got to take a break. I couldn't take any more of it.
Yeah. Was there any point during this movie where you felt like this was a Tim Burton movie and not a Gore Verbinski movie?
Yeah, when I saw Helena Bonham Carter.
Exactly. With the most quirky of weapons, the false leg gun.
An ivory gun with a shotgun built into it.
Yep. You know, I understand that this has got more. This honestly had more women than The Legend of the Lone Ranger. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep bringing it up. And I watched this entirely. I have yet to watch. I can't stomach it.
I know how you feel, Kurt. I do. I really do.
Wait a second, Kurt. You made us watch Caddyshack 2. You have no excuse. Go watch it now. It's on Stars.
Trust me. So you can watch Caddyshack 2 before you watch this one.
All right. So why do you think this wasn't on Disney Plus? Is it just one of those things that there's a licensing that's lapsed that that we don't know about yet, or is it because of the Native American content they just don't want to have to deal with having to come up with another one of the Disney Plus things that get people in people's panties in a tizzy? Or do you think it's because Armie Hammer's a garbage person?
I think it's a combination of all of them. It's like, this was a bomb. It's very problematic as far as they had a Native American advisor on set, but I hear, from what I hear and read, that was not enough for a lot of Native Americans.
Yeah, okay. And that's fair.
And Armie Hammer is, thinks fondly of cannibalism. So I think all together, there's like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's just not deal with it right now.
Yeah, I agree. It's tough because we could just drag this out to how much you hate this movie, and it is a very fair point. This is not a movie I will go back and watch again. I don't feel like if they tweaked a few things that maybe it's right for a sequel, it's not going to happen. No. Let me give you the extent of where they thought the success of this movie was going to lay. And it was when, do you remember the game Disney Infinity?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You could actually get the minifigs for both Tonto and the Lone Ranger.
Oh, I remember.
Yep.
I actually have several minifigs around here. I actually
got the game. My son has them. Yeah, he begged me for the game, so Santa Claus brought it for him a few years ago. The game's boring as shit.
It's dull. They closed it down pretty darn quickly.
Right, but the figurines are pretty cool. But it's one of those. It's just one of those things that I don't think you can make this movie happen again.
There are also several continuity errors. Like the Native American chief says he got the watch from Sears Roebuck. Yeah, Sears Roebuck hadn't been invented for 30 years.
Yep.
And then they some scene earlier they start going off and just going back and forth. They're mentioning a lot of stuff that they should have no knowledge of.
Right. But again, it's not like you're sitting in a darkened theater with IMDb open, just double checking everything, right?
No, but there's a lot of stuff that I knew offhand.
Yeah.
And just,
What will make a subsequent Lone Ranger movie better? First of all, it's got to be out of, we're just going to photocopy what worked already. Whatever studio gets this movie next can't be like, well, we had success with, Pirates of the Caribbean. Now we want to replicate that exact same success by bringing the same creative team and its star and make this movie. If it's done, first of all, you need to cast a Native American actor to play Tonto, and unfortunately, the only one that comes to mind is Adam Beach.
I don't know who that is.
He was Slipknot in Suicide Squad, which is also forgiven if you still don't know who he is, because it was Slipknot, a guy who can climb things really good, who was brought in to take on a potential Superman-like threat.
And he also dies in like 5 seconds.
Exactly. He was like, yeah, I'm Slipknot. You gotta get a hug on Jay Silverheels. He was the best Tonto after all. And he was, and that's the thing too, is that Michael Horse played Tonto in The Legend of the Lone Ranger. So, but if you're looking at marketability, because there ain't no way you make a small independent Lone Ranger. You make it big, you make it with the trains and the explosions and all that stuff. But got to start at a good Tonto, and that's going to be the hardest thing unless you cast. You have to cast an unknown, and then you better pray you can find a big enough name to carry it as a Lone Ranger.
Yeah, and you know what? One thing I didn't like about this movie is they treated everything as like a tongue-in-cheek joke. And
yeah,
I wanted, I wanted it more serious. I wanted it to be, just a little bit more straight-laced.
The stakes were insanely low in this movie in terms of just the overall, drama. Do you need to let the cat in?
No, let him out. No, he's coming back.
Okay.
He just wanted a little bit of attention.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I don't go seeking this movie out. I felt like some of the action sequences were fun in this movie. For what my opinion is worth in a case like this, I was fine with Johnny Depp. But if you can't get the title, if you can't make your title character engaging, this movie is really difficult to get through. It doesn't help the villains are not that memorable. Again, better than Legend of the Lone Ranger, but which is on Tubi or Plex or one of those.
Or not Tubi.
Don't ever do that again. Best line in the entire movie, by the way.
Probably there's something wrong with that horse.
No.
Which
at the
one?
Very end. Sorry, we're spoiling it. Hi ho, Silver, away! And then they just cut Tonto. Don't ever do that again. I thought that was funny. I genuinely laughed. Kind of like.
Again, I don't know why they need to go tongue in cheek and have the horse just be so damn weird.
He's a spirit horse. White horses are spirit horses. I understand none of this. So,
yeah, and Armie Hammer can get pulled out of the ground by grabbing with his teeth, the reins with his teeth. I don't think his choppers are that strong. I'm sorry.
He's kind of undead.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you, Mike, for indulging me in watching this one. We do have one more box office bomb that we're going to cover, but it might happen not next week, but the week after. I essentially will be indisposed for pretty much all of next week. So I don't know. I don't think I will be around it all next week to do anything because got something going on Monday night, Tuesday night's rehearsal night, and then I'm away for a few days. So if Mike does come back, he might come back with Jonna or, maybe talk. You know what you could do, Mike, if you really want to pull in on this summer bomb thing? Find a movie we haven't discussed yet, like a Disney, like a Disney animated failure that both you and Jonna have seen. I challenge you.
Well,
we've not yet done Treasure Planet, by the way.
No, but she did make me watch Meet the Robinsons.
Yeah, that one didn't do that great, did it?
Hold on. Let me look this one up.
So while you're looking that up, so 2 weeks from now, or at least a calendar 2 weeks from now, we will be back to cover one more. Yes.
Budget of 150 million, box office of 169.3 million.
Global, right?
Yeah, that is a big old bomb right there.
I guess that's what you and John are talking about next week. If you can get her on board and you're able to do anything. Otherwise, you're taking a week off.
Yeah.
But 2 calendar weeks from now, Mike and I actually do have one that we really like that we want to talk about. And again, acknowledging fully well, love the movie, but it did not do well financially, and that is 1987's Inner Space, which, first of all, Joe Dante movie. So right there, it's amazing. It's got David Quaid. It's got Martin Short. Amazing. And some of the best practical effects I think I've ever seen in a movie of this era.
You just wanted to look. You didn't want to go out.
Oh.
Of course.
Freaking cats. Freaking cats. So that is our take on The Lone Ranger. And yeah. So what are your thoughts on The Lone Ranger? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know. No! Wait. What was that in regards to, Kurt?
Hey, stop it. Sorry.
I can almost hear him typing right now. I feel like I want to know what your thoughts on The Lone Ranger were. If you, by chance, have Native American heritage, I would actually like to know what your thoughts are on it. Again, keep it clean, keep it polite. Also, don't forget to share, give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not already. Oh, the week off. Well, there might be something coming up. Plus, we have a podcast coming out probably in the next few days. I just went from one vacation. I've had a few days off, which I had no time to do anything. So between tomorrow and Sunday, and maybe sometime on Monday, I will be able to cobble together part 1 of our movies of 1991 discussion with our special guest M from Verbal Diorama. Very excited about that. It was a great conversation, so I can't wait to hear about it. Realistically, it's just me cobbling the episode together. Everything for part 1 is already pulled. So I've
already started pulling for part 2.
Thank you. We'll discuss that offline. So yeah, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Geek Salad Radio, on Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast. Check out our podcast where Mike and I discuss all nerdy things. You can get that wherever you get your podcast, so iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever. Check out our TeePublic store. Geek Salad Podcast is the keyword you're going to use there. I think that is about it, Mike. Anything else that we need to? Okay, awesome. So you might see Mike next week. You will see me in 2 calendar weeks. So we will just figure it out from there.
Yep.
So anyway, until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
Go forth and be nerdful. Talk to you later.